And hello and welcome to another episode of The Wave. This is Don Texan coming to you live from my home as I'm alone. It's 40 days now. I'm feeling a little bit insane. No, I'm not going to get insane. I continue, in spite of the crisis, to have a wave, the wonderful Alberni Valley experience. And we are continuing with our series which we call the Rainbow Edition of the Wave, where I am interviewing members of the LGBTQ community. I always have a hard time saying that. Anyway, we are interviewing people or members of the LGBTQ community and see how they're coping with the present crisis. And with me today is a very special guest and special friend, Frances Palazzolo. Hi, Frances. Thank you for joining me on the show today.
Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your tie to Port Alberni. Your connection to Port Alberni.
I was originally born and raised in Ontario, and a little over about 18 years ago, I decided to make my way out west here and just came out here on a vacation for 2 weeks.
Okay.
About 3 months after returning back from my vacation, I was actually packing up and moving out west.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived a number of years in Tofino. And that always, from the first time that I stepped off the bus, the first time I went to Tofino, or actually not even the first time I stepped off the bus, from the first time we took that first turn and I saw Long Beach, I knew that I was home. It was a matter of just really feeling that connection.
Because you love the ocean, you love the surf. You're a surfer, if I recall correctly.
Yes, yeah. So just that was kind of the real start with that was the first vacation that I'd taken out here. And then, like I said, about 3 months later, I packed everything up at the end of August there and moved out to Tofino. And then spent like a number of years there, kind of like back and forth from Tofino and visiting with family in Ontario. And then I'd kind of checked out a little bit more of British Columbia. And just from traveling and figuring out and seeing the rest of the province, I really determined that Tofino definitely had my heart, and I knew that was home.
So you lived in Tofino for a while?
Yeah, on and off for years. Previous to moving to Port Alberni, I was in Tofino for a few years solid. I've always been kind of static there. I mean, it can tend to be kind of that end of the road mentality and that end of the road feeling, and at times I just always felt like that need to just get out and explore the world a little bit, and then always know that my home is always going to be there. One of the things that really struck me initially with the West Coast is just everybody really, like I said, I felt family, and it really relates with the people from the West Coast and stuff. Everybody really took me in and always made me feel welcome and like I'm home. And that's just, the feeling inside and the feeling from all the people on the West Coast always gave me that feeling of home.
So how long ago was this? 10 years ago, or?
Just going back almost, close to 20 years now, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
and then you settled in Port Alberni after, how long have you been here in Port Alberni?
This will actually be year 11.
Oh, wow. So you've been in Port Alberni for 11 years now. Yeah. So what drew you to Port Alberni? I'm curious. What drew you to come to have a wonderful Alberni Valley experience?
A little over 10 years ago, actually May 16th will be our 11th anniversary, my wife and I.
Oh, wow.
And we actually met on the First Street dock in Tofino, heading towards Opitsit, which is her village, where she was born and raised. So just a few minutes off the coast of Tofino, in Opitsit is my wife's village. And I was actually just going over to visit with friends. I was actually having a bit of a down day that day, and I wasn't really feeling like traveling. I wasn't feeling like being on the ocean and stuff like that, or, I just wanted to kind of have like a private day. And a friend of mine convinced me to come and hang out with the family and stuff. And that was actually the first day that my wife and I met.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then, we connected, not right away, like throughout the evening and stuff like that, and throughout hanging out and chit chat and stuff. We ended up making that connection, and we just found that we made each other laugh and smile, and we've been doing that
Uh,
ever since. So
and you've been together for 11 years now.
yeah, yeah. May
So you're
16th,
celebrating your anniversary when?
on May 16th.
Wow. And hopefully, well, we'll still be in isolation by that time. And
Yeah,
I see that in your Facebook post, Deb just celebrated her birthday and you're the
yeah,
one who cooked. So tell me a
yeah.
little bit about that. In
I've
spite
always
of the
thought,
isolation and the crisis, and you
yeah,
still managed to have a wonderful time.
yeah. I've always really loved cooking. Um, it's something that I've never really taken like as professional or anything like that. I mean, I have worked in a lot of kitchens and stuff, but you know, just over the past few months, like I mean, I've been at home in self isolation for close to around 40 days as well. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that it was March 17th, 16th, 17th, around there, that I had decided it was time to just be staying home. And ever since then, like the cooking thing, everything's really been starting to click in this past year. But this past like month and a half or whatever, of being able to really just focus and you know, get that time to spend to put that passion and stuff like that. I love cooking.
Oh,
It's
wow. So,
yeah.
so do I take it you're the better cook between you and Deb? Or is Deb equally up to the challenge in the kitchen?
She's quite an amazing cook as well. But I tend to do more of the cooking in the house. It's just something that I love doing, and it comes naturally to me. One of the things that I do need to work on is I don't really work well with others in the kitchen.
Well, of course,
I have a hard
a
time.
chef is a solo act.
Yeah, so it's possible that that's like just kind of goes with the territory or whatever. But yeah, I'm definitely not easy to work with in the kitchen, but usually the results are pretty fantastic
Oh
anyways.
yeah, I know. I saw the pictures. I would have loved to have been invited, but that was her
Yeah,
birthday,
yeah.
and we are supposed to be in isolation.
And
So I'm
one of the
curious though, before all this, pandemonium hit us, and
yeah,
it did come upon us quite suddenly.
yeah,
I mean, it was slowly coming, and we already saw it coming in China, then here and there, and then suddenly everything's locked down from 250 to 50 to 15 people to 5 people to like stay at home and be by yourself and stuff like
yeah,
that. But
yeah.
before all this hit, what were you up to then? Like pre-crisis or pre-pandemic?
Well, I was actually working for Granny's Chicken,
Oh yeah, yeah, I
Royal
remember that.
Canadian 3-for-1. So I'd been working with them since last September. I love the job. I love the people that I work with there. It's a really fantastic business. I mean, I've been extremely happy there. They've treated me really well, and it was a sad day, the day that I decided that I wasn't going to be able to continue working.
Oh, okay.
And I believe that
Spanish Chicken is still doing delivery, I guess, or takeout.
they're still operating. One of the things that ended up coming up is 2 months previous to the pandemic uh, becoming coming to light, one of our housemates, Stevie, who's mobility challenged, actually was in ICU for something quite serious, and it
Mm-hmm.
had to do with um, a malfunction with the lungs and stuff. So, knowing that the coronavirus was something that was attacking the respiratory system,
Mm-hmm.
um, collectively as a house, we decided that would have been for the best of his interest and the best of our interest as well in the
Yes,
long run, just to for now just to take that step back and you know, just be at home
I see.
and do our part and stuff. So that I think, yeah, and my stepdaughter Alex, who's the manager at A&W as well, uh, was laid off for just over a month as well, so close to 40 days. So, and my wife, who works in the school as the New Child Health educational worker, has been laid off, or not laid off. She's actually still working. I apologize. That was a mistake there, misspoken. She's been working every day, but working from home and doing everything remotely and stuff. So
I see.
we just had an opportunity to lock down, and I really started getting a little bit nervous, just being out and about, you know, especially knowing the health risks that are happening in our home and stuff too. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah,
So I know you were our guest. I mean, I that was one of my best interviews when we were still airing on Shaw Spotlight. Remember that? I mean,
Yes.
that was such a I don't know. It was a touching interview. And so you are in the process of transition, or has your transition been completed? Because that's what we were talking about.
It's something
A
that's
bit of a follow
ongoing.
up to that.
It's something that's ongoing for a lifetime, actually.
Okay.
I've been on hormone replacement uh, for, it's been just a little over, close to a year, actually. Well, August officially will be a year.
Mm-hmm.
I did start some things March previous, which was actually just blocking testosterone. And that was something that we just did as kind of like a precursor, just to kind of see, how I was going to feel with everything, and to kind of get a gauge of whether or not this is really the right steps for me to take, because it's definitely something that's a lot more serious than just being like,
Yes.
I'm going to do this or whatever. Like, it took a lot of time to get to that place of feeling that possibly this is the route that I needed to take and stuff. And since then, I'm extremely positive that it's the right steps that I've taken. Once I started getting the medicine that was going to start making changes and stuff, I knew right away, like almost instantly, that things were on the right path, and that things were going to start getting better and stuff too. And
Mm-hmm. So I remember what you said in the interview that we did on Shaw,
yeah,
that you said you finally found your peace. I love that. I love that phrase that you found your peace.
yeah, definitely feel like that. It's not. It doesn't necessarily mean that everything instantly gets better.
Of course, yeah.
And like, there's always still difficulties and stuff. And I think that was one of the things that you kind of really get wrapped up in the beginning, is like everything just feels like this blissful, beautiful, perfect, amazing thing unfolding and stuff like that. But I think what really starts to come to light is okay, there's still this life that you've been living and stuff like that too, that needs attention, and then that needs to
To be
keep going and
adjusted
stuff
and
too.
adapted, right?
And yeah, so there's definitely that initial like feeling of like elation and bliss, and I think kind of really, yeah, like you said, coming to peace, but also coming to a realization that it's that feeling of you're 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 making that connection to something that you've always felt, but you never really knew that you could actualize, or
Mm-hmm.
make manifest or make reality. And once it does start to come to fruition, it takes a lot of weight off of you, knowing that, okay, all of these things that I've been feeling and thinking, like, they're there and it's real. And it's not just something that, is like this like invisible hidden thing that's always like looming or whatever. It's more than that. It's just it's real and it's beautiful. So it's
It
quite an
is.
amazing experience so far.
Have you met my friend Robbie from Qualicum?
Yeah, Robbie Van.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, he's also been through that transition. I think he started transitioning. I forget.
I'm not sure when she
10 or 12
started.
years. She started
Yeah.
transitioning about, I mean, I think 10 years ago, or
Yeah.
I
I've made
forget.
I've made a few connections with Robbie. I did end up getting a chance to connect with her last summer at the event here in Port Alberni as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, no, it's just beautiful, beautiful artist for sure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I
Yeah,
just am at awe, how you guys are handling the thing, and how, when yeah, like you said, there's peace, there's bliss, and it is a process that
mhm.
you have began. So is it 2 years or 1 year ago when you started this
So,
process?
well, just under a year since I've been on estrogen. Would have been in August when I started taking estrogen.
Mm-hmm.
But previous to that, like I said, I was on a testosterone blocker, which is not necessarily kind of the complete balance of what's necessary to keep a person healthy and safe, because at that point you're actually removing testosterone, so you're taking out like hormones from your endocrine system, and there's nothing there to
Mm-hmm.
replace it, which could over a long time end up being a health risk.
Oh.
But because we put ourselves on a timeline of about 3 to 6 months to for me to test it out and stuff like that. And like I said, I think I really knew, like, literally the next morning after my first medication, I knew that something was happening that was going in the right direction.
Something felt right.
Yeah, and I think that for relationship wise and stuff like that as well, because everything hit both of, like, I knew a little bit earlier than my wife did, like not really too much earlier, like about a year. I'd kind of been thinking like things, and things have been starting to like kind of come up, and I'd started figuring stuff out. And you know, my wife just a little over a year has known about things, and possibly even just like close to a year that she's known that I started like feeling that transgender is like who I am and where it was moving towards. So it's definitely it's been difficult. So we needed that time before I started taking estrogen for both of us to really be on board with it. And I think it took like that kind of trial run for both of us to really grasp it. It took her a little bit longer, but I think once she started seeing like how happy I was and stuff, it just.
Well, I guess you've come to a point where you realize you don't fall in love with a body, you fall in love with a person.
Yeah.
And you are a wonderful person. So there you go. And speaking of which, I confess, as I already told you in my interview primer, I was creeping your Facebook page and I discovered this video that you posted, and we will share it today.
Sure, why not?
Just want to, it's my way of proving that even in spite of the crisis, we can still have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to show our audience the video and we're going to talk about it in a while.
Okay, sure.
Here we go. Here's something I found on.
Oh, there we go. We're kind of missing the music a bit. Yeah. Yeah, that was actually.
You look like you're having fun.
Definitely having fun for sure. It's actually a dance that I don't remember doing since, I don't even know, it's over 20 years or something, I think.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to share that.
No problem.
So you said in the caption of the video that your wife Deb put you up to the challenge. What was the challenge all about?
So somebody from her village actually started the Macarena challenge. It's just a Macarena challenge to kind of get people moving and to get that fun moving in the time that we're in and stuff. And unfortunately, I don't remember the name of the person who it originated from, but it did originate on the West Coast, and it ended up circulating through our circle of family and friends. I was
you look like you were having fun.
Definitely honored, and it was fun to do. Absolutely. I love dancing, and I wasn't necessarily prepared for it because, like I said, it'd probably been over 20 years since the last time I did the Macarena, but I did watch a quick YouTube video before just to be sure that I was at least
okay.
But it could have gone a lot smoother had I've given it a little bit more practice and stuff, but it was fun.
Oh, I saw it at like 135 views already. So when I checked the video.
Yeah. Right on.
So give me an idea of what a day is like for you. So you're on day 40. So what is have you established yourself in a routine? Like what do you do from day to day as you cope through this crisis?
I'm pretty random person. I actually am really valuing just being able to kind of go with the flow. And I mean, for the most part, I'll keep myself busy. Like I said, and like you said, you've seen as well, most of my time I keep busy in the kitchen.
Okay.
You know, a lot of the things that we're doing was just to cut down on our frequency of visits to the grocery store and stuff. And I actually started baking bread.
Okay. So you make your own bread now.
Yeah, so I've perfected that one as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I make some pretty great.
Well, maybe we should do a trade. I make deviled eggs. I'll give you some deviled eggs, and you give me some bread.
Yeah, we'll have to do that at some time.
That's one idea I had floating in my mind one time. Like I'm going to do a cook-off challenge. Like you cook something, and we'll do exchange food. But I don't know how safe that'll be.
Yeah, I guess maybe we'll give it a bit more time and.
Well, it did say that the virus isn't transmittable through food.
Yeah,
Like the breakout in the chicken processing plant somewhere, I don't know where, in the mainland.
yeah,
They were all scared. Oh, I'm not going to buy chicken anymore because it might be. But no, the coronavirus isn't transmitted by through food. It's transmitted to personal contact, like
yeah.
somebody speaks moistly to you or
Oh
something.
gosh, yeah. uh, but yeah, that's kind of the bulk of my days are really spent that way. Little projects throughout the house and stuff like that too. We actually just started like remodeling or remodeling. I guess not renovating, but remodeling our bedroom and stuff.
Hmm. You have to get to
Coup
that. But I'm alone, so it's a hard time to move big furniture.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I did most of it myself, but then my wife actually got a chaise lounge about
Oh,
6 months ago, and we haven't been able to get it into the bedroom because we didn't have the room. But once I started moving stuff around, we managed to get the chaise lounge in there. But that definitely took a few other people to give a hand with because it was a little bit heavier than what I could handle on my own.
well, I'm curious, where'd you find it? Where'd you get it?
She purchased it off a friend.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't anything brand new, but this is so. Like I said, it's been in our basement for close to 6 months.
Oh, I see.
We purchased it with the original intention of it going in our bedroom, but there just wasn't the space for it until I made some
Until you did
changes and stuff.
some rearranging.
Yeah, so kind of we're eliminating a few pieces of furniture that were unnecessary and bringing
Hmm.
in a more kind of comfy, cozy type thing. We upgraded our well, I mean the TV was something that I had already, but we've got a bit of a bigger TV in the bedroom and stuff, and mounted
Oh,
on the
how
wall.
big? I'm a
Everything's
size queen.
made
How
out
big
good.
is your TV?
I don't know if this is a comparison kind of thing here,
No,
Don.
I'm just kidding. This one time I bought, just where I work, yeah, we sell TVs, right? So
Yeah,
when I first moved in here with my partner, I thought we had a 55-inch TV. Then I
yeah,
discovered we only had a 50-inch TV. I said, "You mean you've been lying to me all these years?"
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I went out and bought a 55-inch TV. And when I was getting rid of the box
yeah.
at the dump, in our city dump, somebody came up with a box he was also getting rid of, and he was getting rid of a 65-inch TV box. I said, "Oh, okay, you're upstaging me." So after a few months, I went and bought
Yeah.
another 65-inch TV.
Oh, jeez.
Then I sold the 50-inch. So anyway,
Yeah.
I have enough TVs in my house. I sold the others. So I
No,
sold
no,
the
we
small ones
haven't.
and traded up for the big ones.
We actually have an excess of TVs right now too. But I'm
I
sure
just
what
love the TVs. Well,
I'm.
thank God for the internet. We can still stay connected to each other.
Yeah, exactly. And that's been another big thing for us too. Like, I mean, really making that connection with family and stuff. Our grandkids on the West Coast, especially, knowing that they're only like an hour and a half away,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't make that drive to go see them. We can't even make the drive. Like, I mean, I'm sure we could make the drive there just to kind of drive by and like wave like from the car window or whatever. But I mean, as far as things go on the West Coast, everything's like on real lockdown, and it's definitely something that we want to respect for the West Coast because of the remoteness of the community and stuff. So it'd be nice to be able to see our little grandsons and stuff running around and see their mom and dad and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
right now we're happy knowing that what we're doing is you know whatever they say there, something about the curve, flattening the curve up
Flattening the
there.
curve.
Yeah, so I mean that we're just happy knowing that at least that's the part that we're doing there, and that
Well, there is
uh,
a bit of controversy already going on as we speak because there are
yeah,
some people clamoring to reopen and go back to normal. I don't think there's going to be a normal activity after this. Even if we do reopen, even if we do resume our, you know, life as we
yeah,
thought we knew it, it's not going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. Not after this.
I don't think so either.
But the
I mean,
controversy raging on right now is so there's a divide. Some
mm,
people say, yes, let's open. Some people say, no way we should open.
yeah.
Where do you stand?
Well, I mean, as far as anything goes, the word that we've been going by is Dr. Bonnie Henry. I think that she's done a fantastic job at leading
Oh,
us
she's
forward.
marvelous.
I don't see any reason why the work that she's done so far, the guidance and leadership that she's provided so far has, created great results here in British Columbia.
Oh,
So I
definitely.
just don't see any reason why I would ever go outside of what her recommendations are. And, and if she's recommending that things start opening up slowly, then that's the route that we should take, I think. Because I think,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I think she's really proven herself as a leader in the medical field. And I don't see any reason why we should doubt her. Um, it's really hard to say though, because you look at, I was even just reading an article about Sweden.
Yes,
And
yes, I
Sweden,
heard about Sweden.
they decided to not even do anything, like, really, and they were just kind of like relying on this, I don't even know, like the herd immunity kind of thing or whatever. And um, it seems like it's really backfiring on them now.
Well, that's the route they choose. So you are what you so speaking of choices, I came up on a nice post that you put on your Facebook page, and let me read it.
Yeah.
As we come to a close of the interview, you posted something that said, "This period can be a period of fear and panic, or it can be a period of spiritual transformation.
Yeah.
You can choose." Obviously, I know what you chose, but can you tell
Yeah.
me about that a little bit in closing for our interview?
I mean, you just take the opportunity to look at what's happening right now, and I've always done that, like, at every aspect of at every turn of my life, is, what's going on right now, why are these things happening. Maybe we don't have the answer for, like, kind of the grand scheme of things, but if you look at the things that have led up to what situation we are in as humanity right now, I think it's pretty glaring. Like, if you really look at the timeline of like all the things that have happened, even just in the year previous, the precursor to the coronavirus and stuff like that, things that have happened globally, and like even just within our own country in Canada and stuff. I'm not going to start getting into details and stuff, but this is kind of like that awakening, like, make it or break it kind of thing. Like, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
nature's way of telling us, like, smarten up, because things are not as great as some people would have us believe in the world. And I think that things can be a lot better. And I'm hoping that everybody really takes that to heart now and has really taken this time to, like, look into themselves. And um, and that's the main thing for me when it came down to, like, where I found my happiness is, my happiness came from expressing my authenticity, like my true authentic self.
Okay, I
Um,
love that. Can you say that again? Your
yeah,
I'll say it for you. Your happiness came from expressing your authenticity. That
yeah,
is so essential. That is so vital.
and I think that's one of the biggest things that I think that a lot of people struggle with in life is, like, figuring out who they really are, like what makes me really happy. And I think that for me, I think I found that, and it's amazing, and it's such a beautiful, wonderful thing. In that, one of the hardest things though as well is just to see, a great portion of the people around you, that are still really struggling, day in, day out. Um, and I guess for me, like I said, like, I on the surface for my whole life, a lot of people would have looked at me and said, I never really would look at you as like a person that was depressed or unhappy, or, that had trouble and stuff like that. Because I've always been a smiley person, and I've always been, like, kind of like,
Yeah, I remember that car ride on New Year's Eve. I don't know if you remember that.
yeah.
Oh no,
Oh, I
was it
do.
New Year's
Oh,
Eve
yeah,
or no? That wasn't New Year's Eve. I think it was New Year's Eve.
that's part of my repertoire of silliness and happiness and stuff. So, um,
You were
that's
shouting out to the lamppost and you were saying hi to the mailbox. That was a fun ride, I'll tell you that.
it sounds like a typical evening, but that was a bit of an extreme evening as well. But that's the thing is just finding that truth and expressing it. And like I said, that it's an amazing experience, but it's at the same time can be really hard, because it's hard to make connections with others that have kind of figured things out, the way that I have. And I don't know, I feel pretty spectacular day in, day out. But like
I'm
I
glad
said,
to hear that.
it doesn't come without its struggles here and there and stuff too still. But I mean, for the most part, like 90% of the time, I'm feeling pretty uplifted and pretty connected.
I'm so happy for you, Francis, and I'm so happy you took the time to do another interview with me because we did promise a follow up after our interview, if you
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Like I said we're going to do a follow up with Francis, and I'm glad we were able to do it now, even in spite of COVID-19.
yeah,
It's funny though, because the irony of it all is when the Wave was being produced with Shaw Spotlight, we were able to come up with one episode a month, and that whole episode would run for a whole month, and we'd have several time slots in the day or
yeah,
in the week or for the month. But now that the COVID crisis has hit, like we have episodes every day,
yeah,
Monday, Friday. But I take a break on Saturday and Sunday. But
yeah.
we've been making so much connections and so much interactions with so many people from all over the world and all over the island. Actually, I'm interviewing, possibly interviewing another coach, a life coach, who's somewhere in Brazil or something.
Hmm.
And so you got to watch out for that in a way. But in the meantime, I'd like to say thank you, bring this interview to a close. And thank you so much, Francis. I really
Well,
appreciate it. I am grateful. And I'm happy for you for sharing your happiness and for sharing your wonderful Alberni Valley experience. We'll catch you next time on The Wave, ladies and gentlemen.